for me, the activity of selfing is an activity of a mental process. And that mental process is moving into, it's either attempting to become something or unbecome something, yeah? So it's driven like a desire. It has a desire to become, let's say it has a desire to become successful, and then it has a desire to not be a loser, let's say, yeah? It can go both ways. So there's a desire to become and unbecome. But the thing is, it can never fulfill that mission because you can never become what it's implying you are. You are already a different nature than being a thing, yeah? Be it a mental thing, or a soul thing, or a physical thing, yeah? So no matter how much you desire to become, it's never going to be fulfilled. You'll never be that, yeah? And the desiring to unbecome is assuming that you are something already, which is not so. So in one sense, before the desire even jumps on the diving board, the one doesn't even have a board. You're not that to unbecome. In other words, you're not a loser to be unbecome, yes? And then the other one, it has a diving board, but there's no way it's going to fulfill and become the diver that it wants to be. So it's a desire that's never going to be fulfilled. Yeah? What does that do? It produces a lot of anxiety, a lot of agitation of the mind. As you know, when you have a desire that's not fulfilled, it's not conducive to peace of mind. The mind is stirred up, and it's going over how much you need that thing, what it would mean if you had it, and what it means not having it, and on, so on and so forth. So there's that agitation. So let's say that agitation can never find rest, because it can never be what it wants to be, and it can never not be what it wants not to be, yeah? It can never not be that, because it wasn't that to begin with. So it can't ever find fulfillment. So what does it do? It produces this incessant irritability, restlessness, and discontent, and then now the mind, in an ignorant manner, seeks relief from that addiction, which is the mental condition's addiction to being a self. Yeah? And now it tries to seek relief by doing a lot of other forms of addictions, like drinking, using drugs, pornography, sex, tons of it. There's many, it can branch out into many forms and manifestations, but it's really basically the mind's ignorant solution to the initial addiction, which is the mind's addiction to being a self. Yeah? Without getting relief there, you won't get relief from any other addictions. They'll just morph. Yeah? In other words, they may run their course and you won't do drugs anymore, but you may notice that you'll start being obsessed around other things. So the mind is going to seek constantly to try to get relief, and yet it's like that picture of the hungry ghost. It has a very small mouth and a very big belly, has a huge appetite, but it can never get enough. Yeah? That's sort of what happens here. So for me, the whole point is, if you see that the selfing has never produced the point where we usually start from every day, which is the sense of self. It can never truly produce that. All it does, the selfing, is it indicates or points to or infers, yeah? So in other words, if the thoughts are held as you are the thinker of them, every thought is being given this pointing ability, and it's pointing to the one who's thinking them, yes? So all they can do is point. There's nothing there, nor can they create that thing that they're pointing at, because there isn't a thing there. But the mind in selfing makes the leap. So the mind goes, oh, thinking, there must be a thinker. Feeling, they're my feelings. So who is that mind? The one who's feeling. Yes? Hearing, I'm the hearer. Yeah? It makes that leap all day, that leap all day. But the fact is, the seeing is, you're seeing the pointing, yes? As soon as you fall under the assumption, it becomes a looking. Now you're looking at, you're the one who's doing it. Yeah? That's where you're looking at it from. In other words, first you're seeing the thoughts consciously, and then suddenly you're looking at them as their creator. I'm the thinker of these thoughts. Yeah? It's a very quick switch. The seeing is valid, and then it turns into a mental interpretation. Well, I'm the one who's thinking. That's a form of looking. Yeah? That's called self-centeredness. Yeah? It's a form of feeling. I'm the one who's feeling. It's a form of hearing. I'm the one who's here. I'm the hearer. Yeah? It's not hearing, it's not seeing, it's not feeling, it's not tasting, it's not touching. It's I'm the one who's seeing, I'm the one who's hearing, I'm the one who's feeling, I'm the one who's thinking. That's not seeing. That's a form of looking called self-centeredness. Yeah? So the mind gets, there's an activity. The activity produces a sense of being a self. Most people are in that feeling, so they're actually at the product line of the activity. The activity, the selfing, has already done its job. It's produced the sense of self. Now it's just riffing on it. Yeah? Once that assumption is taken to be so, it can just riff on that theme. Just like John Coltrane could riff on a theme for like 30, 40 minutes. Well, mind can riff on a theme for 40, 80 years. Yeah? The solution or the relief isn't trying to minimize how many notes they play off the theme, or I don't like that one little segue that it went into. It's about seeing the theme. What set the theme? The theme was when conscious contact was forgotten and the interpretation of conscious contact was assumed to be the starting point, that I'm the one who's seeing, I'm the one who's feeling, I'm the one who's thinking, I'm the one who's doing. Yeah? As soon as that's taken place, it's like the greatest heist of all. The conscious contact is now forgotten, and the mental interpretation becomes the replacement for life. We replace living with an interpretation of living. And we're either or both. We're either the living or we're living the interpretation. Either we're the living, either we're the being, or we're living the interpretation of being. Yeah? Either we're living like at the pulse of conscious contact, or we're living in the timed pulse of the mental interpretation. Yeah? We're just possibility, right? We're a possibility. The same possibility that can abide in the truth is the same possibility that can be obsessing with self. It's the same energy in a way. Yeah? It matters what vehicle it's put in. If your awareness or your sense of life is that it's happening, that's much different than if your awareness is that life is happening to you. It's much different. There's awareness in both situations, yeah? But the results are totally different, yeah? There's awareness that life's happening, and there's a hyper-awareness or a hyper-idea that it's happening to you. It's totally different. The effects will be much different. You'll be traveling heavier, or you'll be traveling lighter. Yeah? If you're seeing life as happening, I guarantee you, your sense of traveling will be lighter than if it's seen as happening to you. Yeah? And how can you see it as not happening to you from self-centeredness? Self-centeredness is everything appears as how it pertains to you. Yeah? So while life is appearing, it's happening to you. And then you have mental ideas that this shouldn't be happening to me. Where does that come from? Yeah? Or why is it happening to him and not me? All this stuff, these are just mental assumptions the mind riffs on that are grounded in an impossibility. Yeah? If the impossibility is able to be planted, then everything else it seems logical that this is what's happening. When the sense of all thoughts held as I'm the thinker is in place, there's going to be a feeling, yeah, I'm the thinker. Yeah? Never going to be questioned. These are my thoughts. Who else's thoughts are there? No one else are seeing these. These are mine. I've now localized awareness and made it a quality that I have, instead of realizing all there is awareness. Yeah? When I localize it, then it sounds logical. Yeah, these are my thoughts. No one else are seeing these thoughts, but they are seeing those thoughts. They're held as yours, and these are held as mine in a sense. Actually, when you're seeing them, they're held as yours too. Everyone's holding them as theirs, yeah? And they're basically the same thoughts, but what makes them different is the one who's holding them, yeah? I'm different, so these thoughts must be different than Rob's. But actually, if we saw the stream of thoughts, we'd see they're all in the English language, and they're all fucking pretty much the same. Maybe some personal nouns change. Instead of Alea, my kid would be named Mindy, you know, but the same would be going on, you know. But it's not the riffing of the thought, it's the my. It's the feeling that they're your thoughts and they're about you that gives it all the meaning. Yeah, the thought isn't bringing us a meaning. We're giving it, the mind's giving it a meaning. Yeah, it's like a piñata. We think we hit it and it opens up and all this shit comes out. But who put the shit in there?